So in this video, we will discuss about implicit differentiation. So before go with implicit differentiation, first we have to distinguish between explicit function and implicit function. So note here, if a function cannot be expressed explicitly in terms of other variable, it is called implicit function. So yang atas ni kita panggil sebagai explicit function because we can asingkan, we can separate between two variable. So for example, we want y in term of x. So kita boleh asingkan y dengan x. But then for implicit function, you cannot separate the variable lah senang cerita. Contohnya D dengan E tu kalau awak pusing lah macam mana pun, awak nak buat y in term of x takkan berjaya. Okay, so that's basically differences between implicit function and explicit function. So we start with implicit differentiation straight away. Differentiate each of the term with respect to x. Okay, sebelum kita pergi example ni, saya nak buat note dululah apa beza dia dengan differentiate biasa. Okay, so let's say lah differentiate biasa kita nak differentiate x squared. Okay, kita nak differentiate x squared. Semua orang dah terror dah. Derivative of x squared will be 2x. Cuma selama ni yang kita tak tulis, kita tak detailkan ke awak is, whenever we differentiate variable x with respect to x, kita akan tulis kat belakang tu dx. We differentiate variable x with respect to x. dx over dx. dx over dx we can simplify as 1. Sebab tu lah kita akan tulis sebagai 2x sahaja. Kita tak pernah tulis dx over dx tu. Okay, so now how about we want to differentiate y squared with respect to x. So derivative of y squared following our rule just now, kita ikut rule biasa kan, bring power to the front, all power minus 1. So we get 2y. But now since this is y variable, so we will have dy, differentiate variable y with respect to x. So dy over dx. So dia akan punya jawapan macam itulah, ada extra dy dx at the back. Itu maksudnya implicit differentiation. Okay, kita cuba contoh seterusnya ni. Kalau complicated sikit, we have x cubed times y. We have to differentiate with respect to x. X cubed y is basically multiplication of two different functions. So we have to apply product rule. Kena cari hasil darab kat sini. So u would be x cubed. U prime should be 3x squared. Okay, V in this case is y. V prime, sekarang kita nak differentiatekan y. So differentiate y dapat 1. Tapi kita ada dy dx at the back. Itu extra dia. Okay, so now substitute this into formula u v prime plus v u prime. So we will have x cubed dy dx plus with 3x squared y. Itu beza dia, ada dy dx dalam jawapan kita. Okay, settle. Kita pergi contoh seterusnya. Sekejap tak nak alih pula skrin ni. Okay, saya tarik. Now we want to differentiate x dy dx. Once again, kalau perasan ni, hati-hati, it's product of two different function. So we have to use product rule lagi sekali. So u is x, u prime is 1. Ni semua orang dah terror. Okay, yang second term ni kena hati-hati. V in this case is dy dx. V prime should be d squared y over dx squared. Ini yang akan jadi bila kita differentiatekan dy dx. Kita akan dapat d squared y over dx squared. Okay, so substitute into the formula u v prime plus v u prime. So we get x d squared y over dx squared, the second derivative, plus with dy dx. Okay, settle. Moving on, now we have to differentiate ln xy. Remember, we have discussed this before. When it comes to ln, try to simplify our equation first. So this would be equal to ln of x plus ln of y. Saya asingkan dia. Hasil darab jadi tambah. Barulah senang nak differentiate satu-satu. So derivative of ln x would be 1 over x Derivative of ln y would be 1 over y, but since this is y variable, so we have dy over dx. Okay, boleh go Kita pergi seterusnya. We have exponent to the power of x plus y. So how do we differentiate this? Remember, for exponential rule, we have to copy it back. So e to the power of x plus y times with derivative of our power. So differentiate x, we get 1. Differentiate y, we get dy over dx. Siap. Stay as it is lah. If you want to open up the square bracket, dia tak membantu apa-apa kan. So biar je lah macam tu. Okay. Moving on. Now, we have to differentiate sign of x minus y. Ingat, when it comes to 3-go function, differentiate one by one. Jangan pergi one go First step, differentiate the 3-go function itself. So, differentiate sign, we get cos of x minus y. Only after that, we differentiate what's inside the bracket. So, derivative of x would be 1. Derivative of y would be dy over dx. Okay. Siap. Okay. Ini kita baru differentiate implicitly term by term. Sekarang, how about we differentiate an equation? So, find dy dx for each of the following function. First one, we have x cubed plus y squared equal to 2x minus 3. So, differentiate this term by term. Hati-hati je ikut rule. Kita differentiate satu-satu. So, step first one, x cubed. Derivative of this would be 3x squared. Dia tak berubah ikut rule biasa. Moving on, second one, we have y squared. So, derivative of this would be 2y dy over dx. Ada extra kat belakang tu. Okay, next one, differentiate 2x, we get 2. And last one, differentiate 3, we get 0. Habis cerita. Since the question asks to find dy dx, so you have to rearrange to make dy dx as our main subject. So finally, dy dx will be equal to 2 minus 3x squared over 2y. Siap. Kita cuba lagi seterusnya B. Now we have y minus 3y squared plus 4x squared minus 7 equal to x. Ini nampaklah, ini obvious. Another example of implicit function. Kita tak boleh nak asingkan y in term of x. So we have to differentiate one by one. Carefully, start with the first one. Differentiate y, we get dy over dx. Next one, we want to differentiate 3y squared. So this would be 6y dy over dx. Kenapa dia ada dy dx? Because we differentiate variable y with respect to x. Adalah extra kat belakang tu. Okay, next one. Differentiate 4x squared, we get 8x. Differentiate 7, we get 0. Differentiate differentiate x, we get 1. Okay, and then as usual, try to simplify. So dy over dx, we can factorize. So we get 1 minus 6y. Without dy dx, I bring it to another side. So we have 1 minus 8x. So finally, we will get our dy over dx is 1 minus 8x divided by 1 minus 6y. Okay. Settle untuk soalan yang kedua. Kita pergi kepada soalan seterusnya. Moving on. Upgrade sikit lah. Bila masuk ada exponent ke kan, ada ln ke, ada 3-go ke, still under the subtopic of implicit differentiation. So first one, we have e to the power of x y plus 3 equal to x squared minus y to the power of 6. Okay, yang lain ni tak ada masalah nak differentiate. The first term itself, exponent to the power of x y. So remember, in order to differentiate exponent, kita recap semula in case ada yang terlupa. Our rule would be copy it back and then differentiate the power. Okay. So case kita kat sini, kalau kita ada e to the power of xy, copy it back, e to the power of xy, and then we have to differentiate x times y. X times y is basically multiplication of two different functions. So in order to differentiate that, we have to use product rule. Dia jadi complicated sikit kat situ. So I assign straight away the product rule. In this case, u would be x. U prime would be 1, no problem. V should be y and v prime would be dy dx. Okay, now kita dah boleh start differentiate term by term. Start with the first one. E to the power of xy, derivative of it will be e to the power of xy. Ingat, salin balik. And then differentiate power. Power tu kena pakai product rule tadi. So, u v prime plus v u prime. We get x dy dx plus y. Okay. And then plus 3 would be 0. Kalau kita differentiate 3 dapat kosong. Equal to x squared differentiate would be 2x. And then last one, derivative of y to the power of 6 would be 6y to the power of 5 dy over dx. Okay. Dan nampak cantik. Next, seperti biasa, in order to make dy dx as our main term, we have to separate the variable. Depends on the category. So, if we have dy over dx, I collect it on our left side. Now, we have x e to the power of xy plus 6y to the power of 5. Without variable dy dx, I collect it on our right side. So we have 2x minus y e to the power of xy. Okay. Dah cantik. And then last part, we simplify. Finally, our dy dx here would be 2x minus y to the power of xy divided by x to the power of xy plus 6y to the power of 5. Okay, settled. Mencabar tiba-tiba kan, sebab tiba-tiba ada exponent kat situ. Okay, but then if you understand the step before, should be no problem lah kat sini. Kita ada extra dy dx je. Kita cuba lagi. Okay, now we have y ln x over x minus 1 equal to 3. Ingat, kalau ada ln, saya pesan kita simplify dulu. Since it's division, kita tukar jadi tolak lah. So, now it would be y ln x minus y ln of x minus 1 equal to 3. Saya pecah je Okay, so analyze one by one. First category, we have y times ln x. Ini kena pakai product rule sebab multiplication of two different function. Hasil darab dua function berbeza. So our u will be y. U prime here will be dy over dx. Sebab implicit, ingat. And then next one, v will be ln x. So v prime will be 1 over x. Okay, kita settle first term. Moving on, second term, y times ln x minus 1. Once again, we have to perform product rule. So, u as before, dia tak berubah, still y. So, dy dx would be u prime. And then now, v would be ln of x minus 1. So, v prime should be 1 over x minus 1. Okay, dah settle satu-satu. Now, straight away, we can differentiate term by using product rule. So, first product rule should be y over x plus ln x dy dx. Okay, and then second product rule, careful since we have minus here, you have to put a bracket outside of our product rule. So, we have y over x minus 1 plus ln of x minus 1 dy dx. Okay, equal to 0 because differentiate 3 kita dapat kosong. Okay, next step, we want to simplify in order to make sure dy dx as our main term. So, seperti tadi, dy dx we can factorize, collect it on our left side. So, we have ln of x minus ln of x minus 1. Okay, without variable dy dx, we collect it on our right side. So, now we get y over x minus 1 minus y over x. Okay, nak biar simplify jadi cantik, make sure on our right side tu ada satu fraction je lah. So, we get xy minus xy plus y. So, xy tu kita dah boleh hilangkan kan? Okay, barulah cantik kita nak simplify final answer. Sekejap, saya kecilkan screen. Okay, so finally now, our dy dx should be y over x minus 1 times with ln x minus ln of x minus 1. Yes. Jawapan dia macam panjang tak ada penghujung tu. Tapi itulah jawapan dia. Y over X, X minus 1, ln X minus ln X minus 1. Okay. So, ingat kat sini hati-hati when it comes to ln, we can divide. Jadi tolak. So, satu-satu term tu you have to perform product rule. Okay, kalau awak tak perasan kat situ dia jadi product rule, hancurlah jawapan nanti. Gone case Kita pergi seterusnya. Now we have, dia tak nak gerak. Apa masalah dia? Sekejap. Ni, scroller ni kadang-kadang muncul, kadang-kadang tak muncul. Itu masalah saya selalunya. Okay. So, next one, we have cos of 3x minus 2y equal to 5y. Okay, kita boleh differentiate directly. Yang ni hati-hati. Jangan pula gatal-gatal tiba-tiba nak buka bracket. Maksud saya awak nak pergi kembangkan jadi cos 3x minus cos 2y. Itu totally mengarut Jangan buat jangan kerja ngarut tu. Tak ada. So, ingat when it comes to here, differentiate trigo function first. So, derivative of cos would be negative sign 3x minus 2y. Only after that, we differentiate what's inside the bracket. So, derivative of 3x would be 3. Differentiate 2y, we get 2 dy dx. Equal to, derivative of 5y would be 5 dy dx. Okay, now we have to rearrange dy dx on our left side as usual. Okay, so we will get now 2 sine of 3x minus 2y minus 5. And then without dy dx, I bring it to our right side. So we get 3 sine of 3x minus 2y. So finally, rearrange to make dy dx as our main term. We will get 3 sine of 3x minus 2y divided by 2 sine of 3x minus 2y minus 5. Okay. Settle. Kita pergi seterusnya. Find the second derivative for the following term. Kalau second derivative tu maksudnya kita differentiate 2 kali. Barulah second derivative muncul. Okay. Kita start dengan first one X squared plus y squared equal to 4. So, differentiate x squared, we get 2x, no problem. Differentiate y squared, we get 2y dy dx, once again, no problem. Differentiate 4, we get 0. Habis cerita. Okay, tak settle di sini sebab soalan kita nak d squared y over dx squared. Okay, kalau nak mudah, boleh juga kita susun dy dx dulu sebagai tajuk. Okay, so if I rearrange dy dx as our main term, now we will get negative 2x over 2y. Ini dah boleh cancel kan? So, jadi negative x over y. Okay, so since kita nak second derivative, so kita kena differentiate lagi sekali lah. So, d squared y over dx squared equal to, so division of two different function, we have to use quotient rule. Kat situ janganlah tiba-tiba terlupa rule. So, quotient rule cerita pasal numerator would be our u. Saya tulis kat sini. Saya ambil negatif kat atas lah. U is negative x. So, u prime should be negative 1. V in this case is y. V prime should be dy over dx. Okay. So, now kita substitute one by one. Vu prime. So, negative y. Minus uv prime. So, negative x. dy over dx. Over v squared. So, y squared. Okay. And then kita simplify apa yang boleh. So, dia akan jadi y squared ni saya letak kat depan 1 over y squared. Negative y plus x. Kita tak nak dy dx dalam answer kan? Because our question ask for in term of x and y. So, dy dx ni apa tadi? Negative x over y. So, saya tukarlah jadi negative x over y. Tak cantik lagi. Kita try to simplify lagi seboleh mungkin. So, second derivative now would be 1 over y squared. Yang kat dalam tu, square bracket tu saya ikut denominator So, kita akan dapat negative y squared minus x squared over y. Okay. Kalau nampak kat situ, we share the common factor of negative. So, saya boleh tukar jadi negative 1 over y squared. Y cube lah saya tukar terus. Y cube. Y tu saya dah harapkan. Yang tinggal kat dalam tu, x squared plus y squared. Okay. X squared plus y squared ni kalau perasan dia sama dengan soalan asal. X squared plus y squared. Soalan asal x squared plus y squared over equal to 4. So kita boleh tukar benda tu jadi 4. So final answer here would be negative 4 over y cube. Dia punyalah simplenya jawapan tu. Dalam kerja je tak berapa nak simple. So hati-hati. Okay. Kita cuba lagi sekali untuk soalan terakhir. Given that xy equal to sin 3x, show that the equation. Okay. When it comes to show, kita ikut je lah apa dia nak. Kita ada dy dx, maksudnya differentiate sekali. Next, kita ada d squared y over dx squared, maksudnya dia differentiate 2 kali. So, proses kita itulah dia. Kita start dengan first one. We have x, y. Remember, yang ni kena pakai product rule. Saya terus buat Saya start terus product rule. Saya tak tulis uv prime, du prime satu-satu. Patutnya awak dah boleh congak dah sekarang. So, dia akan jadi uv prime. So, x dy dx plus vu prime. So, plus y equal to differentiate sin 3x. We get cos 3x times 3. Okay, boleh susun sebagai 3 cos 3x. Okay, ini kita baru settle first derivative. Soalan nak second derivative. So, differentiate lagi sekali yang ada. So, first term is x times dy dx. So, itu product rule. Lagi sekali awak kena pakai u and v lah. Yang ni saya tulis lah. Mungkin ada orang tak perasan nanti. So, u is x. U prime is 1. V is dy dx. Jangan terkejut, dy dx can be your v. So, v prime will be second derivative d squared y over dx squared. So, directly substitute into formula, we get now x d squared y over dx squared. And then, plus with dy dx. Okay, itu kita baru settle product rule untuk first term. Second term, now we have to differentiate y. So, derivative of y would be dy over dx equal to, okay, 3 constant, dia salin balik je. Now we have to differentiate cos. So we get negative of sin 3x. And then we differentiate 3x, kita dapat 3. Okay, our target, what we want to show is equal to 0 kan. So saya bring everything to our left side So we have x d squared y over dx squared. Dy dx plus dy dx, we get 2 dy dx. And then yang ni kita akan dapat minus 9. So bring to the right side, we get plus 9 sin 3x to 0. Okay, so if we compare with what we want to show, first term dah sama, x d squared y over dx squared. Kita pun dah dapat. Okay, second 2 dy dx, kita dah dapat juga. And then last one, we want 9xy. Tapi yang kita ada sekarang ni sin 3x. Dia bukannya xy. Okay, but then refer back to original question. Equation yang awal tadi kita kata xy is basically sin 3x. So, the whole thing ni kita boleh jadi sebagai xy. So, finally, our equation will be x times with d squared y over dx squared plus 2 dy over dx plus 9xy equal to 0. That is basically the equation that we want to find. Settle about implicit differentiation. Okay, just a reminder, kita nak kena awak take note kat sini, hati-hati what we have learned today. First, if we differentiate with respect to x when it comes to y variable, let's say I put y cube, first step, you differentiate the y variable as usual, so we get 3y squared. But at the back, you must make a note, this is basically differentiate y with respect to x. So, ada dy dx at the back. It's fixed, mesti ada. Okay, second one, differences between second derivative and dy dx. So ini nak kena take note, ramai orang selalu confuse. Highlight dia, second derivative not the same as dy dx squared. Ini kena hati-hati, dia tak sama maksud. Okay, second derivative d squared y over dx squared is basically we differentiate our dy dx. Kita differentiate dy dx, we get the second derivative, d squared y over dx squared. But then dy dx squared, the whole thing ni is basically dy dx times with dy dx. It's squared of dy dx lah, senang cerita. So these two things are not the same. Make sure you can distinguish between these two. Okay, that's all for implicit differentiation.